There are these things called facts, right alongside of these things called historical facts. They are neither right nor left. They are what history has recorded and has been agreed upon by anyone and everyone who believes in the truth. Whether by his fault or somebody else's, Donald Trump is once again fighting over what is fact and what is sarcasm. One would have to guess there was not a lot of sarcasm in the room when the GOP nominee and the overlords at the RNC got together and discussed this matter of funding. The RNC could be on the verge of telling Trump no more cash cow. Trump was on the verge of telling them, go ahead, do your worst. And there are those who believe there is nothing worse than Hollywood taking a classic film and rebooting it with modern CGI and all the ballyhoo the 21st century brings with it. But maybe there is good reason to consider the new Ben-Hur worthy of a good race to the box office. Saddle up those white horses, prepare to enter the arena. I'm Ed Berliner. This is The Hardline for Friday, August 12th, 2016.
Obama is the founder of ISIS. Right? The founder. And these dishonest media people, the most dishonest people, they said, oh, did he mean that? Didn't he mean that? And after that, I'd say a lot. In fact, they like him so much because he's been so weak and so bad. I mean, he let this happen. They had 8 states, they had 8 countries. They're now in 28 countries. They're expanding. So I said, the founder of ISIS. Obviously, I'm being sarcastic. Then, but not that sarcastic, to be honest with you.
There is one thing we can all agree on. Donald Trump is unflappable. No matter what is said about him, no matter if it's concocted lies or gospel truth, if it doesn't fit his spin and if it casts any and all aspersions upon him or his campaign for president, he shrugs his billionaire shoulders, calls it what he wants to call it, and then moves on, secure in the knowledge it will all go away. And by the time November hits, no one will recall it. And no one will care about the insignificance of such nonsense. And let's be right up front here. It works, to a degree. For while some polls show Trump is not trailing by as much as some would gloat, perhaps even leading by a slim margin somewhere, reality is these polls mean absolutely nothing as we talk right now. They are guesses, opinions, shaped carvings at times of what some very biased pollsters would have us believe. And ask the experts as well. They'll tell you that come Election Day, throw it all out the window. However, there are some things Donald Trump cannot so casually toss out the nearest opening. The fact that no matter how many times we ask if he's bent the rules too far, he bends them again. The fact that he has opened up and continues to fight on several fronts that should be no-brainers for any serious candidate, such as still waging money war with the RNC, making statements that are factually incorrect, and now having the tax return gauntlet tossed at him again by Hillary Clinton. There are plenty of people watching this show right now who want Donald Trump to be the next president. Good for you. That's your right. The same people who are growing tired of his antics and would prefer he take the fight to the enemy instead of making more enemies with nonsense any other candidate would avoid like the plague. So we want to hear from you, the Trump supporter who wants him to be more focused in his attacks and stop trying to walk back useless comments. Get to the issues, get back the mojo. Of course, other comments as well. 1-877-Newsmax, 1-877-639-7629. Let's welcome back the veteran political and presidential strategist, author of the runaway bestseller at the New York Times, Amazon, and the Wall Street Journal. The book is Armageddon, How Trump Can Defeat Hillary. Always a pleasure to welcome Dick Morris back to the Hardline. All right, Dick, welcome back, and let's get once again to your side as a strategist, because that is what you are good at. Donald Trump says that Obama and Clinton are the founders of ISIS. He says, wait a minute, I might have just been kidding. It was only sarcasm. Then he comes back today. He puts the gas pedal right down again and says, well, maybe it wasn't sarcasm. Well, okay, maybe it was. Dick, come on. The American people, even the people who love Donald Trump, they're getting tired of this. Don't you just want to tell them, stop already, give it up, get to the issues, damn it?
No.
Okay. Good for you, Dick. Thanks a lot for joining us. We'll talk to you again next time. Dick Morris will join us for another 6-second interview tomorrow. No, go ahead, Dick. There you go.
I think that Trump is absolutely right. I think he's good for calling it out. ISIS would not have come into existence and would not be anywhere near as powerful as it is if the United States if Obama had heeded the advice of John McCain and kept 20 to 30,000 troops in Iraq.
Okay, hang on a sec, Dick. You and I love going at you on this because you and I, we got to stop right there. You said two things there. You talked about the beginning of ISIS and you talked about the fact that ISIS got stronger. It is a fact that has been proven by over and over again by a number of people that ISIS began when the Bush administration invaded Iraq, broke it, just like Colin Powell said, and that's where it started from. Now, you are correct, though. Let me point out, those people who say that it got a whole lot worse when Barack Obama took the troops out of there. So you can't say that he founded it, but you can't say he made it any better. Come on, Dick.
Yeah, it also began with original sin with Adam and Eve in the garden. Come on. ISIS was no one. You didn't know the name ISIS. You never heard of ISIS.
You're right.
Until Barack Obama became president. And the reason you never heard of ISIS is that it was a tiny little group of guys meeting in the back room of some shanty in Baghdad. What made ISIS what it is today was that during the 2008 campaign, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton were running against each other, and they both agreed that we should pull all our troops out of Iraq. And they both excoriated John McCain for daring to suggest that we should leave 20,000 troops there. In fact, Hillary said, or Obama said, I forget which, we'll leave them there for 100 years. That's what McCain wants. And they were in such a hurry to prove that they were anti-war, particularly Hillary, who was pro-war, that they pulled all of the troops out when they took power. And when all the troops left, the region fell apart. And that is how Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama are the founders, Founders, of ISIS.
Historians say that's not true. They say that al-Baghdadi and the people who created ISIS were already there as offshoots of al-Qaeda after Iraq broke apart and after basically the United States got involved there. They will say that that started ISIS. It's there, and there's so many people who say it, Dick.
How come you never heard of them?
It's not a matter of whether I heard of them or not, or you did. It's a matter of where it actually began and where the existence began.
You're grasping at technicalities. Yeah.
Not really.
Probably there were 1/1000th of 1% of the current size of ISIS that existed on paper in somebody's imagination for 8 years before. It's just like liberals who are always trying to blame the Bush administration when, in fact, it's Obama that did it. Anybody with eyes understands that ISIS only took off after Obama took office.
But it was already in existence, is what they're saying. See, all I'm pointing out to you is the existence of it. It was already there. It had been founded by the breaking of Iraq, is what Colin Powell and all the experts say, going back to that time and space.
Yeah. Okay, so everybody that believes that ISIS was George Bush's problem, metastasized under his watch, and was the dominant threat we faced during the Bush administration, agree with Ed Berlin.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm agreeing with you that because the troops moved out, that was where it got worse. You're right. And that was Obama's fault. You're right. But it comes down to the founding of it, I think, is the whole point here. Okay, you and I love the discourse with you, quite frankly, because we love to go at it like this, but let's move on to get to some other things here, because there's certainly a lot to talk about. When we talk about what we are discussing right here, Donald Trump says, and many times he points out, that the media does not give him a break. And he pointed it out again today. Many people saying, and it's true, in many cases, there are some members of the media that just hammer away at everything Trump says, and they leave it alone when it comes to Hillary Clinton. You are exactly right. When he spoke with our own J.D. Hayworth last night, he talked specifically about this and how the media covers him. Here's what he said.
I've seen how smart the American people are, because here I am sitting with you, and I get the most unfair treatment, the worst treatment from the press. And they write about it. Actually, the press writes about how unfairly I'm treated and how harshly. A few people have said they've never seen anything like it. I mean, they'll take a very good story and make it a bad story.
Does he bring it on himself, Dick?
No. Trump is simply being the victim of the Hillary Clinton and Democratic Party operation. And I know, because I used to run it. And what's happening is that with the complicity of the left-wing media, minor little statements like the distinction between founder and catalyzing, empowering agent get blown out of all proportion. And docile media figures echo that stuff, and it becomes an echo chamber. Bear in mind, we're in an environment right now where Trump has closed in every single poll, has moved up in every one of the polls. And LA Times has him 1 point behind. And Time Magazine's cover says Trump is going to pull out.
Well, you and I both know that that's ridiculous. He's not going to pull out. However, let's go ahead and talk about the polls, Dick.
Don't.
I do want to bring the polls in here, because in one poll we have right here, Hillary Clinton is actually trailing Donald Trump. That's the LA Times poll that you're talking about. 44-2 to Hillary Clinton, 43-1 for Donald Trump, just barely behind. However, there's a new poll from NBC News that has Donald Trump behind in Florida, North Carolina, Virginia, and Colorado, and he's way behind in the electoral map. So how do you then want to put the two of these together with those who say that, yes, he is rising in the polls, but numbers like these that show us that he's failing?
Those states are individual state polls.
Right.
Individual state polls usually are conducted over 7 or 8 days because to measure opinion within a state, you have to be sure that you're sampling every part of it correctly. And you usually do about 700 or 800 interviews in the state. A national poll, you do 700 or 800 interviews nationally. And you can complete it in one night if you want, 2 nights if you're careful, 3 if you're really fidgety. So therefore, the poll numbers you're getting from state by state stuff is about 5 days behind the numbers you're getting from national polling. And that accounts for it.
Very fair, very fair. Very quickly, 30, 40 seconds we have left here. Hillary Clinton has released her 2015 tax return. Do you believe that this will then put the pressure on Donald Trump to release his return? There are people who want him to come clean.
Sure it will, and the media will emphasize that. But the thing that I'm emphasizing is those tax returns show that Bill and Hillary Clinton made $238 million since they left the White House. Not earned income, not legal fees, not consulting fees, not even investment winnings, bribes from corporate and other sponsors who wanted favors with the next president, the current Secretary of State, and then again the next president, and paid the money to Bill to go to Hillary.
And you and I...
$250 million.
And you and I next time, we're out of time. I hate this. We need to spend more time. You and I next time, we're going to talk about that whole bribe issue. I guarantee you we're going to get there. Runaway bestseller once again, Armageddon, How Trump Can Beat Hillary. Get a copy right now. Dick Morris has put it there on the bestsellers list. You got to get ready for the election. Always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks for joining us. We'll do it again. Hey, program reminder for our DirecTV viewers, Newsmax TV shows now on channel 366. The Hardline, all your shows are right there. It's on JLTV on DirecTV, channel 366. Tune in now, make the switch. DirecTV, channel 366, all your favorite Newsmax programs. Up next, is there a solid connection between Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation asking for questionable money? We'll do that right here on The Hardline next.